I don't have my tripod today. I don't know where it went. So we're sitting on the windowsill. That's why it's so bright on my face, but it's fine. We're fine. We're good. We're fine. Hello everyone, my name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming at you with a really quick video, and it is all the books that I read in October. So there's a lot on this list. Like, I'm surrounded by books right now, and I am so proud of myself for having read all these books in the month of October, and it was a fantastic reading month. And for theme, it was pretty great too, because I was just wanting to read all the spookier kind of books. So there's a lot of them, so let's get into this. The first two books that I read this October, I read Blue Lily, Lily Blue, and The Raven King. So I finished out the Raven Boys Quartet, and I'm so happy about that. I gave this one 4.5 out of 5 stars, and then I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed these. I think they were a great way to wrap up the Raven Boys Quartet, and I really recommend them. I can't really give you a synopsis of these two because they're the third and fourth of a series, so definitely go check out the Raven Boys if you haven't yet. The Raven Boys is about a girl named Blue who has been cursed, basically, or been foretold that she will kill her first love after she kisses him, or she'll kill him with her first kiss. It's like a little bit vague. And then it's how she meets the Raven Boys, Richard Gansey, we have Ronan, and we have Adam, and then we have Noah. And they kind of are on the quest to find a Welsh king that is buried on ley lines. So the series gets progressively more fantastical as it goes on, but it's incredible. And Maggie Stiefvater's writing is so atmospheric and incredible, and these two books were perfect for this October-y fall time of year. The next book that I ended up picking up and finishing in the month of October was Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. This I read as a buddy read with my friend Linda after we had read Muse of Nightmares together. We just wanted to continue in the Laini Taylor worlds, and this was really good. I ended up giving it 4 stars because I think I was just expecting a little bit more out of it, and more plot-wise, but like all of Laini Taylor's writing that I have read so far, I can tell that there is such a rich world behind this story, and I really want to get to it. So I will be picking up the next one and the third one in the trilogy in 2020, hopefully. For this one, this is a story about Carew, who lives in Prague, I do believe, or like a magical version of Prague, and there are angels and demons, and she basically is a messenger for this kind of demon guy. I don't think they're actually called demons. It's been a little while and I don't remember what they are called, but she like was raised by him, and she helps him with his business, but she doesn't really know what it is. And then she meets Akiva, who is an angel, and their stories intertwine, and there's an angel war going on with all these beings that Carew is attached to, and it's wild, and it's really well written, and I really enjoyed it. But I don't know, it just wasn't a new favorite of mine, but it was still really good. The next book that I picked up and read in October is one that I was working through because I wanted to get it finished before NaNoWriMo came around, and that is Save the Cat Writes a Novel by Jessica Brody. This is my new Bible. I adore this book with all my heart. I am absolutely obsessed with structure and finding proper things to, like, learning more about the storytelling world, and this was just perfect. So I actually, based off my my NaNoWriMo project, I finished a beat sheet, which is what is in the Save the Cat world, the Save the Cat beat sheet. So I'm trying to structure my story as of the Save the Cat novel structure, which is really fun to do. I highly recommend it, and I really recommend this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars because it was just so comprehensive, so well done, and just a treat to read, honestly. And I tabbed it all up. I know you can't really see it because of the glare from my windowsill, which is right in front of me, but I did tab it all up and I annotated it all, and it was amazing. And I will be reading this over and over and over and over again as I keep writing and I keep going with my writing career, and I'm so excited about that. But yes, highly, highly, highly recommend this one if you are looking for something that will concern your writing world. The next book that I finished in the month of October was Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. This book was absolutely incredible. I ended up giving it 4 stars because it was just one of my favorites that I've read so far, and even though it was a really predictable ending and I knew who the killer was pretty well, like by the 2/3 mark of the book, I really, really enjoyed it. It was so much fun, and it gave me slightly creepy vibes, which is exactly what I wanted. And we're dealing with Jack the Ripper here. Like, it was just so good. And I'm actually currently almost done reading the second one, which is Hunting Prince Dracula, but I didn't end up finishing it in the month of October, but that's okay, because that'll just go on my November wrap-up, that's all. But I really, really recommend this. This is about a girl named Audrey Rose, who is a forensic science person in the 1880s. So she is fighting gender standards, she is fighting for feminism, she is fighting for a place among a society of men, and she is helping her uncle in this book, who is like, basically, he helps cops solve crimes by like performing autopsies on bodies and stuff like that, and she's apprenticing under him, and another boy who's apprenticing under her uncle is Thomas Cresswell, and they become really, really good friends, and then they go on this adventure to solve who Jack the Ripper is, and I think that's so fun, and it was exactly what I wanted. I ended up finishing this in 1 day. I just couldn't stop reading it. It was amazing. It was so good. So good. I actually don't even want to give it 4 stars. I want to give it 4.5 because it was just so good. So my new rating is 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I picked up and finished was There Will Come a Darkness by Katie Rose Poole. This is a book that is very, very difficult to explain. I have featured it in a few other of my videos, but it is a fantasy that revolves around people who have different kind of powers, and they're called graces. There are 4 graces, I do believe. I've done this in a video before, I'm so sorry. Yes, 4 graces. The grace of heart, the grace of blood, the grace of mind, and the grace of sight. And we deal with 5 different characters. We deal with the Pale Hand, who is Ephira. We deal with her sister, who I can't remember her name of because it's been a while. We deal with Anton, who is a grace of sight. We deal with Princess Sun, who is also a refugee, and we deal with, oh, there's another one, Jude, who is basically the leader of a magical monk monastery people, basically, but except there's like women and men part of this monastery, and they're all charged with protecting prophets and prophecies. So there's this like war happening, and they're all coming together, and there's this prophecy. The whole book revolves around this one prophecy coming to fruition, and the hunt to find basically the last prophet. And it was okay for the most part, but the ending bumped it up to a 4-star for me because it was just so well executed. And I honestly was thinking for the most part of this, it was a 3-star read. And I was like, oh, I don't really want to pick up a next one. If there's a sequel coming, there is. This is a trilogy. But the ending made me want to keep reading this series. So that's all I have to say. It was great. It was really entertaining and really an intriguing read. And I'm excited to see where this story keeps going. And after all of those fantasies and YA books, I ended up picking up Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. This book I ended up giving 3.5 out of 5 stars. I was expecting so much out of this because so many people really, really love this book and really love the world, but honestly, I found it a little bit confusing at times. I felt like the plot hadn't quite been polished enough, and the world is a little bit confusing, and their timelines are a little bit confusing to me, and a lot of people were calling it like a Harry Potter-esque book, and anytime somebody calls a book a Harry Potter-esque book, I shake my head, because I know it's not going to be. People need to stop comparing things to Harry Potter, because like it's just no. But it was still entertaining and fun, and I think that kids would really, really, really enjoy this. So it is about a girl named Morgan Crow who is cursed to die on her 11th birthday, and her entire town blames everything that goes wrong on her because she has been cursed. And basically, so on her 11th birthday, she's waiting for death to come, which is terrifying. Her whole family has basically like estranged themselves from her. Her dad doesn't really like her at all, and she's got a stepmom who like tries to, basically on the eve of her death, she announces that she's pregnant, and it's wild. It's wild. Like, her family is not great. Her grandma's pretty cool though. You do see her grandma eventually later in the book, and she's pretty cool. But so on the eve of her 11th birthday, this man named Jupiter North comes and saves her, whisks her off to Nevermore, where she is put into basically trials to become part of the Wondrous Society. And so the book basically revolves around these trials, and they are kind of weird and kooky, and like the world is weird and kooky, and I don't know, it ended up being pretty interesting, and the ending bothered me a little bit, but like I honestly, in retrospect, probably couldn't see any other ending possible. But I don't know if I'm going to continue with this series, but it's there if I ever want to pick up a kind of kooky magical middle grade. And it was spooky a little bit. The atmosphere was a little bit spooky, so it did work for October, but 3.5 out of 5 stars. And after all of that, I was so desperate to get a 5-star read in, because so far I had only read one 5-star book in the month of October. And, well, I still didn't get that with this one, but it came really close because I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars, and that is Undead Girl Gang by Lilly Anderson. This was fabulous. I listened to this on script, and I finished it all in one go, and I was crying in my car on the way to work, my second job, and it was so good. So basically, the beginning of this book, we have our lovely main character, Mila, who has lost her best friend, and the town is claiming that it was a suicide, and she does not believe this. She says, "Nuh-uh, my friend would never commit suicide. Like, no, that's not possible. Somebody killed her." So she goes on this quest basically to find out what happened to her best friend, and in the process, she is a witch, and her friend was a witch as well, but she didn't really quite believe in her powers. Both of them, they didn't really think it was real, and then she goes to a graveyard to basically try to resurrect her best friend, and she does! And in the process, she resurrects 2 other girls who were murdered the week before. And so they kind of go on this quest to figure out what happened to them, but like the catch is they have 7 days before the girls have to go back to their graves and like go back to being dead, and they can't be more than 100 feet away from Mila without turning into their dead corpse selves and like being like zombie-esque. So it was a riot. This book was so good. I really enjoyed where the plot took it. I really enjoyed who done it, and like the twists in the end. It was just so good, and it was so perfect for October. It had all the witchy vibes, it had like zombie vibes, it just worked so well, and I really enjoyed this book, and it merits every single one of those stars, especially that half star. But yes, I highly recommend this book if you're looking for something a little bit witchy and super fun. But yeah. So the following book that I picked up in October was kind of on a whim, and it wasn't on my like TBR or anything, and it was just kind of on my radar, and it was on my shelf, my TBR shelf in my room, but like I wasn't planning on reading it in October. But one day I just kind of got the vibes to do it. I think I had finished watching a Dash of Ashes video where she talks about Arch Enemies, like the last few chapters of Arch Enemies. I'm the kind of person who can watch videos that spoil books and still read them. So she was doing like a promotion thing where she was doing the last recap of a bit of Arch Enemies leading up to the new release of this lovely Supernova book. But I was like, I want to read Renegades. I want to see what's up with this world. And I finally got a 5-star read. And I was so excited about this. This book is amazing. It reads so beautifully. The world is so incredibly well done. It is a world of superheroes and supervillains, you guys. Like, this is my perfect read ever. I adore superheroes with all my heart, and I love this book so much because it deals with, I'll just give you the synopsis first before I go on a rampage, but it is basically a story about Nova and Adrian. Nova is an anarchist, and she lost her parents at age 6, and she goes and lives with like the head anarchist named Ace Anarchy, who is her uncle. And so when this book opens up, she is trying to take down the Renegades, who basically destroyed the anarchists about 8 years ago, 8 years previous to this book starting. And she gets caught up with Adrian, who is basically the prince of the Renegades. Like, he's the kid of the 2 main renegade people, and so he's like superhero to the max, basically. But the kicker is Nova's alter ego is called Nightmare, and his alter ego that everybody knows about is called Sketch, but he also has another alter ego that he's made for himself called the Sentinel. And nobody knows who the Sentinel is, nobody knows who the Nightmare is, unless you're an anarchist. The anarchists know. So they meet on top of like a building one day, and they don't know who they are, and then they meet as like Nova and Adrian, and they don't know who they are in reality. They don't know the Sentinel and the Nightmare kind of gig, and there are so many secret identities in this. And then Nova goes and, like, to infiltrate the Renegades, she creates another secret identity called Insomnia and does it, oh, like, it's wild. It's wild and so well done, and I'm so excited to see where this goes. This book is amazing. Everybody needs to read it, like, right now. And it also needs to become a TV show, like, right now. It was so good. Now, these 2 books I read all of these books like synonymously, because if you have been following me on my channel for any amount of time, you know that I read like 4 or 5 books at once because I have no chill and I can't just sit and read a book, unless I just sit and read a book and finish it in a day kind of thing. But I was reading this book for my book club with my friends this month, and that is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I gave 4.5 out of 5 stars to. It was so well done, and you've probably seen this book all over BookTube, but the fact that Taylor Jenkins Reid can knit together storylines this well and create 2 characters that are synonymously really likable and not likable at all, and just have such an incredibly well written story to it, oh, it's amazing. So basically the premise of this is that we have Monique, who is a writer, and she gets called to do a piece for Evelyn Hugo, and she's the only one who can do this piece, otherwise Evelyn Hugo won't talk. And so Monique is like, well, why? Like, I don't have any attachment to Evelyn Hugo, like, why me? So she goes, and it turns out that Evelyn Hugo wants her to write her biography for her, and it's a tell-all of her entire life. And that is basically what kicks off this book. And Evelyn Hugo, when Monique is interviewing her, is in her 80s, and she's reflecting on a life of how she became one of the biggest movie stars. And it was so well done, and I'm going to be thinking about this book forever. Forever, honestly. I really, really enjoyed Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing. I read Daisy Jones and the Six earlier this year, I do believe. And I just loved it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. But this was really, really well done as well. And I think that this was really, really well done. And I can't say enough about it. It was so, so, so good. Now, the second last book that I picked up in October and finished in October, it took me from October 10th to the 30th to read And even then, I'm surprised that I got through it that fast. And I mostly read it on audiobook through Scribd, because holy man, that narrator for this book is just so good. But this is a book that I kind of wanted to challenge myself to read, and I started listening to it on a whim at work one day when I had like a little bit of downtime, and I was so surprised at myself because I don't like scary books. I am such a scaredy cat, and picking up one of Stephen King's books is just wild. And if that didn't tell you, I read it this October, and I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was so well done. Holy man, this book was wild. To me, it wasn't that scary, to be honest with you. I can see how it would be scary, but for some reason, because it was in book form, it didn't really get there to me. It was just really suspenseful, and there was a lot of moments when the narrator just really picked up his tone of voice and was giving her and just like going, and I was sitting at work sweating, and I was like, what's gonna happen? But like, it was wild. It was wild, and I really love the fact that the way Stephen King writes this entire book is that he doesn't just tell the story of the kids and then them as an adult and dealing with it. He deals with like the whole lore of Derry and it and how it wraps all together, and like how it's just fabulously done. And I really love that. And the characters in here are so incredible. They're so fleshed out. They're so, like, real, which is wild. And just, it's so good. It's so wild and good. But, like, I will warn you, if you haven't read it and are planning on doing so, it was written in the 80s, and it was set in the 50s and 80s. So, culturally, it doesn't hold up. It is, like, there are very racist characters in here. There are very homophobic characters in here. That doesn't necessarily say that's a reflect on Stephen King's views himself. That is more of just a reflect on the time that it was written and the place that it was written, because it's Derry, Maine, which is a fictional town in Maine, of the United States. And in the 50s, there was a lot of times it was just not a great time to be anything other than white and straight, let me tell you. So that was wild. And it was a little bit gory at times, because, you know, you're dealing with it, this thing that rips arms off children, and it's wild. But it was amazing, and I'm so glad I picked this up. And, the ending to me got, the ending of, like, the storyline got a little bit too fantastical for my taste. I was expecting more of classic horror, but it was not. It was more fantastical. But then the ending of the book was so satisfying, and I really enjoyed it. So 4.5 out of 5 stars for this incredible Halloween read. And guys, we have reached the end of books that I read in October, and it's wild. That was so many. I don't even know how many that was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I read 12 books this month. That is wild to me, especially because one of them was over 1,100 pages long. So the very last book that I read, I picked up on Halloween Day, and I read on Halloween Day because I decided to treat myself. And it was a fantastic way to end out October, and a fantastic way to end Halloween, and that is Mooncakes, which is a graphic novel by Wendy Zhu and Suzanne Walker. This book broke my heart, made my heart swell, gave every little ounce of happiness to my soul. It's just incredible. It's incredible. So it's about two people. We have Nova. Funnily enough, we have another Nova, and we have Tam, who is a werewolf, and Nova is a witch, and they knew each other as children when they were growing up, but Tam left in high school, and then they came back at the beginning of this graphic novel, and Tam brought back a kind of an issue. It's kind of demonic in nature, but so they have to basically fix it together, and there's romance between them, and there's incredible LGBTQ plus representation in this because Tam goes by they, them, and we have our lovely girl here who is, I believe, bisexual. It's not stated, but I believe it is in there somewhere. And she's also, she has a hearing disability because she wears 2 hearing aids, which I think is amazing representation. It is just so wholesome, this entire book. And one of my pet peeves about graphic novels is that the plot is kind of basic and not really well thought out. But this one, holy moly moly moly, it was so well done. It was magical and fantastical, and the art style is beautiful. Oh, I loved it. Anyways, I'm running out of time and space on my memory card, so Anyways, it's just amazing. I gave it 5 stars. Definitely pick this up. It is so, so, so wonderful. Anyways, friends, that's it from me on this end because that is all the books I read in October. And I really hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope to catch you in another video sometime coming up. It's NaNoWriMo season, so watch out for those vlogs coming out because I am doing NaNoWriMo. And I'm a little stressed about it, but it's fine. It's fine. But yes, feel free to like this video if you liked it. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't yet and join my lovely Jen's Bookshelf family. And feel free to hit that little bell icon if you're feeling feisty. I hope you guys are having a great day, and make sure to stay kind and keep on reading.